Yes, compared to where you're coming from, Germany is a serious place. And I am from Nigeria.
Okay.
I don't know if I've mentioned that earlier. I'm from Nigeria. In Nigeria, everyone is not. I don't want to use the term serious, but we have this flexible life. We don't take things so. Sometimes we just have a social life we want to mix up. But yeah.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Africans in Diaspora. With me here, I have a friend, and he's going to introduce himself shortly. So can the audience meet you, please?
Hello everyone. My name is Adebi Oyedemi.
Okay, so where are you currently, and what are you doing here?
I'm currently in Germany, Munich precisely.
And what are you doing here?
Actually, I'm studying international tourism management, master's course at Degendorf Institute of Technology,
Okay.
which is about 2 hours drive from here.
Okay, so how has the experiences been so far? In Germany, your master's program. Just a summary of how it has been.
It's been wonderful. Actually, this course is just a bit tilting outside what I studied in Nigeria. In Nigeria, I studied human resource management, which has to do with the relationship between in an industry, within the personnel and all that. So, but here it has to do with tourism. And in my school, the tourism is also tilting towards medical. And there was some of the perspective, some things they expect you to know as a student and all that. But eventually, I got to read more and I got to know more. And with time, I fell in love with the course. And I think since it's about culture, and I love it. It's so good. And then when it comes to the environment, Germany is a nice place. But maybe let me just say, firstly, my first shock as a student here and probably as a stranger here when I first got here, like when I went to a bank, I was trying to talk to them, speak. I was because of the fact that I couldn't speak Dutch. So the way they attended to me was a bit strict. I don't think I can. But with time, I got to realize that only it has to do with individuals and the way people relate.
Yeah. And
so with time, I got to know that they are friendly and it's a good place to be. Yeah, it's a good place to be. Germany is good. Okay.
So more elaborately, you have said when you came newly, I believe that was when you came newly, and you went to the bank, and possibly the receptionist or the person at the cash point wasn't so friendly to you, so that's one experience. Can you talk about some of the positive things that you have enjoyed so far, while you have been in Germany, and experiences, so that the audience can actually learn from you?
Okay, I can talk more about having been a student in the country. I got to realize that in Germany, maybe when you school here, you can have a good relationship with your lecturer. They relate with you like friends. When you have any issues at all, be it psychological or any probably you need counseling, they're accessible. You can go to meet them, talk to them, and even when you don't seem to have a good justice in your results for your exams, you can access them, you can talk to them. So this I've learned how to be simple in nature, how to not really take everything so personal and all that. And eventually I realized that you have to study more. The time is not by your side. You have to run according to time, even when it comes to exams. 90 minutes. Even when you're reading, you have short time to read, so the time runs so fast and all that. So I came to realize that even having to meet up with appointments also was another thing I learned. So all these things are build-ups, like things that could build me up, so that when I actually want to establish my probably company or organization, then all this culture is what I'll put in place. So these are the stuff we can learn in Germany, and there are more also.
Okay, so can you talk a bit about the German grading system? How did you find it to be compared to your home country?
The German grading system. Whenever I'm having a conversation with my friends, I will say I don't want to have anything lower than 1.0. You see, lower or higher, because the highest is 1.0. And when you want to have a lower one is like 4 points, 5 points. So I say, okay, either higher or lower, I want to have 1.0. So the grading system is a bit strange, but eventually we got used to it, because you know, at home you have to calculate like maths, you know, sit with it, know what you want to have. Is it, if it's 80%, there's a grading system, probably 1.0 if it's, so it's like what, it's a bit challenging, but eventually you get know that maybe when you start working well on your exams and on your preparation, then you, and your calculation, it's about planning. It's about what you calculate at home. You know, you don't just imagine, you plan yourself.
Okay, so what's it like, you know, you said a bit about what it's like studying in Germany, you know, more or less like being, your lecturers being accessible to you, you know, so can you talk about maybe like the day-to-day life of a student, you know, compared to where you're actually coming from?
Yes, you know, compared to where you're coming from, Germany is a serious place. And I am from Nigeria. I don't know if I've mentioned that earlier. I'm from Nigeria. In Nigeria, you know, everyone is not, I don't want to use the term serious, but we have this flexible life, you know, we don't take things so, you know, sometimes we just have this social life you want to mix up. But yeah, you know, even in the train, everybody's so focused, like, I just want to get to where I'm going. And so when you get to meet people and ask, I want to see you, they will say, oh, okay. You know, sometimes you just want to have conversation with people, but people believe it's something so serious and all that. Yeah, but they have good social life here as well, but everybody's busy.
It's busy.
You have to respect people's time. You know, sometimes when you want to unwind, you know, you just feel the only way to unwind here is go to bar, drink. And for me that I don't drink, you know, it's cool, it's all for me, but you know, I still try to have conversation with people. Another thing is, when you really with people, you have to be careful of your choice of words. Like, okay, for example, in Nigeria we use medicine, drug. We call medicine drug, but here drug means, if you tell someone, have you taken a drug? Say, drug. No, but okay, medicine, I mean medicine. So there are choice of words. You have to be careful of the choice of words. So because of this, sometimes you get to relate with your own people more because they understand you better, you flow well. But at the same time, you cannot limit yourself because of information. Some of your people might not get all the information. You might get from external, so you need to relate with them as well. Just make sure you balance it. Sure, because here you could be stressed alone. Being alone can be depressing. You know, depressing. Thank you. It could be depressing, and because of this, you need to mix with people. Because when you are in your room, you don't get to talk with every other person in the room. So because of this, let me say, relating with people, trying to get, you just have to study the environment, then just walk along with it.
Okay. So another question is actually, are there jobs for students? You know, how do people take care of themselves while they are studying?
Yes, there are jobs for students, but one factor I will have to specify here is that students, when you come, like I said, the language is everywhere. You need to study the language. So there are some jobs that they will specifically tell you have to be fluent with the language. And there are some English speaking jobs. A lot of English speaking jobs could be manual jobs, like jobs you have to do your errands, jobs you have to go here and there. So they may not be easy jobs that you have to be on your system and press except for some other jobs professional. So with this, when you are coming with the mind that yes, I want to sit in the office, you know, with the first job, because I though you still depend on the fact that you want to earn some money to earn a living, but still you want to, you have to start with something, you know. So if you can do some jobs like service at gastronomy and all other, if you know you can do some of those jobs, there are agencies. There are agents for students too. We call them student terms here. When you go online, search student terms, you see they have some of their jobs. Some jobs are English speaking, while some are not English speaking. So you just have to, while some are not a must, like. So you just have to choose, then talk to them, send a mail to them, then that's how to get a job. There are other agencies apart from that, but for students.
Okay, so it's not actually sponsored, you know, but I believe it's actually talking from experience. And I can also list some other agencies, like you said. One is Student Temp, two is maybe Job Cafe, 3 Hadeco, 4. I can't remember all of them offhand, you know. There are also a lot of platforms like A Job, you know, jobcafe.de, you know, and a whole lot like that,
Yeah.
you know, that you can actually search on and you
Yeah.
would find jobs, you know.
But for Indeed, for professional jobs, you can
Yeah.
see them on Indeed, Stepstone,
Yeah, Glassdoor.
yeah, Glassdoor,
Yeah.
and some other jobs. So you can see this and compare to your course, to your the course you're studying and your line, the field, also your career. Then from there you can decide to, you know, try them because most essentially I'll have to mention this. When you send an application to them,
Okay.
in most cases you get a rejection. In most cases, because I think there is always a preference when it comes to international students and the people here. So you have to, you know, line up to the standard. So eventually one would become one that picks you up.
We open the door for others.
Open the door for others.
Okay.
So you just have to keep pressing.
So if I'm to get what you have said, it's more or less like at the initial stage, you might get a whole lot of rejection, especially when it has to do with professional jobs. But if you are persistent, you will actually get what you want. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Africans in Diaspora. I want to encourage you to like and also to subscribe and share with your family and friends. Until the next episode, see you guys.